We are going live right now. Hello, everybody. Happy Friday, TGIF. Today, Dylan is going to go over the process of a deal from start to finish. So we're going to kind of just show you guys how we do our deals. If that's something you guys would like to do, type in a 1 in the chat. If not, I could put up the poll and you guys could choose. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. So it looks like everybody would like to see that. I thought so. Okay, Dylan, it's yours.
Yeah. What's up, guys? So yeah, we just closed on a deal last Friday, so about a week ago. I think you have to pass me host, Ange. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'll show you guys the address, all the numbers for it, how we found it, how we got it closed, how we found a buyer, all that good stuff. So let's look at it on Zillow. This was in Oklahoma City. It was a subject to deal. 226 Northeast 14th Street. 226 Northeast 14th Street. Okay, right here. So still shows it's pending, even though it is closed. So this home is, yeah, 3-bed, 3-bath, 2,200 square feet. So big home for just this many beds and baths. You can easily fit more if someone wanted to. So in a pretty nice neighborhood close to downtown Oklahoma City. It's a 3-minute drive from Oklahoma City Medical Center and a 7-minute drive from where the Oklahoma City Thunder play. The property came fully furnished. So the seller operated this as an Airbnb. It was actually kind of a complicated story. Him and a business partner were operating it together. He bought the home with him and his wife's name. They got the loan together. And he had a business partner that was operating the Airbnb. At first, they were just splitting the profits. He was managing it, the partner was, and obviously the seller was paying the mortgage. So they were splitting the profits. The guy that was operating it was doing some sketchy stuff. He hired his brother as the property manager, his girlfriend as the bookkeeper, and his girlfriend's brother as the cleaner for the home. So obviously a lot of family mingling in there. The seller wasn't positive if the operator was managing it correctly or reporting the numbers correctly. So he just signed an agreement with the guy that was operating it to basically just lease it to him for a flat monthly fee and let the guy arbitrage it. So he would rent it from the seller and then post it on Airbnb, and he would keep all the profits. And if he was negative, he would still have to pay the seller a flat monthly fee, even if he wasn't making money. Which during the summers he was paying him, but during the down season, it was being mismanaged. They lost their super host status, which, if you guys know anything about Airbnb, is super important. So he was not being very successful and stopped paying the seller the full monthly payment they had agreed upon. So the seller got sick of it and eventually just decided to list the property. So yeah, it's a beautiful home. Like this shower, you can see it's a dual head shower, like pretty clean looking Airbnb. So the backyard, nice looking backyard, has a basketball hoop you can't see. So yeah, beautiful home. So I had one of my acquisitions guys call on this on PropStream from a list off PropStream. So we realized or noticed that he had little equity in the property. He owed basically just as much as what he wanted for it. So he wanted 421, and we can even see how much he owed. I think it was maybe 405, somewhere around there. let's see, maybe even 410. So 396, he might have paid it down a little bit since we bought it, but yeah. So funny thing, actually, the seller was also the listing agent. His name was Nathan. He's also the listing agent. So we contacted him, or my acquisitions guy contacted him and asked if he was familiar with subject to, told him we'd love to send him an offer. So we ended up sending him a letter of intent for, let's see, Northeast 14th Street right here. So this is what I sent him. Hey, Nate, see attached for our LOI. I figured it would be better to offer you more for the furniture. So that's what we did. I also offered to keep the furniture in the home and give him a down payment. So let's look at our letter of intent. I offered him exactly what he was asking, 421. He got a $22,500 down payment. So yeah, he did owe right around 390 something. So 22,500 for the home, and then we also offered him 11,300 for the furniture. And the reason I do that, how I come up with those numbers, so 22,500 plus 11,300 is $33,800, which is still less than 10% of the asking price. So if I divide it by 421, we're at 8%. And because he's the listing agent, I don't have to pay a realtor commission. So I'm almost trying my phone. I'm getting into this deal for 8% basically. And then taking over his existing, I think it's a 3.75. Yeah, I think it was a little bit higher. I think it was 3.5 interest rate, but still a conventional loan, great interest rate. His taxes were pretty expensive for this one. I think it was right around, total payment being right around 26 or 2,700. And so you can see our thread here. He said, hey, look at that. Hey, those numbers work for me. Let's get this done, right? Like replied, I wonder if that was the same day. Yeah, replied the same day, literally within 10 minutes, said, let's get it done. So got my transaction coordinator to write a contract. He sent us a mortgage statement, all of that. Yep, look at that. Monthly payment was right at $26.97. This is my acquisitions guy, Artie. So he was involved through this whole transaction. So let's see. I want to show you guys too, just all of the emails that it took to get this done. So here's a thread of 17 emails. This is with the title company, the seller, our buyer. Here's a thread of 9 more emails, again, with the title company, our buyer, and the seller, some more, 5 more emails. Here's a thread of 48 emails. This is with our transaction coordinator, Chelsea, the title company, Melissa, Angie, me, Melissa, title company, transaction coordinator, right? So this deal took a lot to get closed. If you're wholesaling, you are basically becoming a real estate agent. So our plan for this one actually was to keep it. Initially, we thought it might be a good deal just to keep, but we always market our properties for assignment just to see what we could get for them. So let me find how many emails it took me. So let me go to sent. So all of these emails you guys can see. So when we marketed this property, and I feel like I'm just talking to no one too. If you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to post it in the chat. But yeah, so we got this property under contract, started marketing it, posted it on Facebook, emailed it to our buyers. So you can see this is me just emailing all the information to all of the different buyers that were interested in it. That's just the first page. Here's the second page. So about a good 50 offers or emails went out to try to get this thing wholesaled. Good. Okay. You guys are learning. Good. Okay. So yeah, here's how we market it, right? So I post the address here. Here's all the pictures. So this is a Google Drive link with all the pictures. I had someone go out to the property and take even more photos than what was just on Zillow. Take photos of the, all the important stuff like, no worries. Well, we're just going over a deal we just closed last Friday. So Teresa asks, what does a transaction coordinator do? A transaction coordinator is ideally supposed to make your life a little bit easier. So I'm not having to, write addendums. I'm not having to coordinate every day with the title company and the buyer. A transaction coordinator is supposed to coordinate the transaction and get it to close. Is that a good way of saying that, Ange? Do you have a better way of saying that? Okay. How do you get the sub-2 contract? Stacy, you have to be a sub-2 student or you have to pay an attorney to get it. That's really the only ways. And as sub-2 students, we can't necessarily just share the contract with you because we sign non-disclosure agreements with PACE. So, but if you would like to JV with sub-2 students, we can write the contracts up and send them to your sellers or agents. And then William says it came in under 8%, 10% being the cap. Yeah, I mean, 10% is ideally the cap, but it's not always. It really depends on the deal, right? Like it's better to get it. So the 49.8 includes your assignment fee. Is that the 421 as well? Yeah, so let me break this down. So 3-bed, 3-bath home, right? Purchase price 421. There's a lot of debate on how to market creative properties, right? Because if you think about a cash deal, a wholesaler will lock a home up for 300 and then market it for 315, right? So, but I think with creative, I prefer to market it exactly what my contract says. So my contract says it's a $421,000 purchase price. The entry fee is $48,800, a little bit higher than 10%, right? So 11.6. That includes the down payment to seller, my assignment fee, and all the furniture. I never include closing costs as a part of the entry fee because that's just a cost of doing business. If you guys do ever wholesale properties and you have buyers that are, saying, well, can you include closing costs? I would say that's not really a good buyer. Most people who are serious high-level buyers are willing to pay their own closing costs, and they're not going to ask for a discount on the closing costs. It's just a cost of doing business. So okay, yeah, so our mortgage was 3.375, PITI 2697, currently operating as an Airbnb. Like I said, 3-minute drive from the hospital, 7-minute drive from the Thunder Stadium, possible wrap with no balloon payments. And then if you'd like to join my buyers list, click this form. So I want to look at the Airbnb numbers as well. So one thing that was pretty, I guess not concerning, but surprising to me was that this thing did not sell super quickly. I thought it would, low entry fee, great interest rate, downtown Oklahoma City, right? Already comes fully furnished, was already operated as an Airbnb. Is this outline available for us to use? It is, Teresa. I mean, I post every single one of my deals like this. So I think if you go to, if you're not a sub-2 student, if you go to like the creative.
Yeah.
You could probably find someone post info about their deals just in here. But if you go
Okay.
to members, and then type in my name, so Dylan Eggers,
Okay.
that
Okay.
you can see all the deals
Okay.
we posted. Yeah, so
Perfect.
yeah, here's one in Ocala, Florida. This should be closing in a couple of weeks, but yeah, basically they always look the same, just different information though.
Right.
So there's that one. Yep. And then here's the Oklahoma City one. So same thing. It looks a little different from my email to what I post on Facebook. I'm putting comment your email address and all that good stuff. But yeah, feel free to copy this. I mean, I
Perfect.
basically copied this and just made it my own. So
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Right. So, and that's the thing too. That's why everybody wants to learn underwriting, is because it's like, how do you know what a good deal is? So for us, right, that's again why I was pretty surprised this thing didn't go as quickly as we were hoping. So, um, you know, good interest rate, conventional loan. You know, the taxes are high, so maybe that's why. The entry though is 11.6, right? Just above 10%, but nothing crazy. That includes all the furniture too, right? So, you know, if it was 9%, you'd have to go out and spend whatever 10 grand on furniture anyways. So, but yeah, I wanted to show you guys the Airbnb numbers. So, because we didn't wholesale this thing as quickly as I thought we were, I was fully prepared. I had my private money lender, Pam. We were just going to buy this ourselves and then keep it for as an Airbnb for 3 months. Yeah. And then we did end up finding a buyer as well too. But the plan for us was to keep it as an Airbnb, right? So we would have closed at the end of March, beginning of April. So if you're looking at this, just to keep it pretty simple, right? So net income and owner payout, right, was 3851. So again, making over $1,000 worth of profit, 3697, right around $1,000, 3373 in June. So still making a profit. And then July, still making a profit. And then, oh yeah, this is July, but yeah, so still making a profit through all of these months, right? And again, you have to remember, they lost their superhost status. The operator was not very successful. So I figured we can easily achieve these numbers, if not get better numbers as an Airbnb. So I was pretty confident that, okay, we at least keep it for 3 months as an Airbnb. So March, April, May, maybe June. And then in that time period, we would market it for a wrap buyer. So I would post this thing on Facebook and Craigslist and say, hey, who's looking for a home but can't qualify? And then ideally, we would, was that a question? Do you have a question, Teresa?
Oh, no, I'm so sorry. I didn't know I was in.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. But yeah, so my Facebook post would look very similar to a Zillow listing, right? But it would say looking to own a home but can't qualify. So, you know, ideally we get anywhere from a $40,000 to a $50,000 down payment. And then instead of letting them just take over the 3.3 rate, we would increase that to 6.5 or 6% and make our money that way, right? Increase the payment to $3,400 a month. So, that was our scenario. I was fully confident we could do that. So how did you find it, Fizbo? No, it was, we have this filter where we look for on market properties with low equity. So I just found it on PropStream. I filter for mortgage info, or no, valuation and equity. I look for loan to value 80%. Or no, I think minimum 80%. And this shows me all the sellers that are active with low equity. That's exactly how we found it. So, you know, nothing fancy, just looking for low equity sellers on PropStream. So yeah, the plan was to keep this. We were actually maybe 4 days from closing. But Pam, my same private money lender, who is also my dispo manager, happened to find a buyer that was willing to pay our full assignment fee for this one. So I talked to the seller, who knew that I was marketing this to wholesale it, but also knew that I had my money ready to go and we were set to close. So this literally 4 days before close, Pam, we had already funded this, so everything was sitting in escrow, ready to close. So getting lower since it was on the market for so long. I hate to do that, Jasmine. I really hate to do that. I think I was pretty confident in us keeping it. I didn't want to go back to him, and this guy was an agent too. So he was a seller and an agent. I think like one of our first conversations was he asked me, "Are you guys going to try to lock me up?" And then at the last minute try to renegotiate. So this guy knew the game, and I did not want to do that to him. I hate going back to sellers and trying to negotiate with them. That's hopefully you never have to do that, because if you do, then your underwriting is wrong. So that's a major issue, right? So Yeah, Stacy, I will go over that again. So again, yeah, this thing was fully funded, ready to go, ready to close. I told the seller, I said, hey man, you know, I have a buyer that's willing. I even told him how much we're making. I have a buyer that's willing to pay my assignment fee. You know, I know it's a few days before closing. You know, he saw that all the money was in there ready to go. So I asked him, I said, if we can you know, get this thing closed in just 2 more weeks, would you be willing to just let me assign it? And he did not care. He was cool with it. What I did was I had, you know, I vetted our buyers. I made sure they were serious. I assigned it to them, and their requirement was to put $8,000 of earnest money to go hard immediately. So they went and checked out the property the next day on a Saturday. They liked it, and then that following Monday put their $8,000 of earnest money to go hard. And the seller and I had agreed that if they were to back out for whatever reason, we would split that $8,000 and then we would continue to buy it. So, but yeah, it took longer than a couple of weeks. The seller continued to call me. He was pretty upset. The buyers took actually closer to 4 weeks rather than another 2 weeks. So, but it is what it is. That type of stuff happens. This title company was pretty difficult to work with. My transaction coordinator was on vacation a lot, it seemed. So, but yeah, we ended up getting this closed. My acquisitions guy got paid. Pam got paid. Everybody got paid. So it turned out to be a good deal. I think that's everything. I tried to get every little detail. So, he did have to make another mortgage payment. You're right, Jasmine. Yeah, he was pretty upset about that. But when we closed, he was prorated the amount back for that like 15-day window. So he only ended up spending, you know, 10 days extra in the home. So he's happy now. That same guy, the seller / agent, sent me another lead for a duplex right next to his. So he's pretty impressed by our team and like the way we operated. So we got a good relationship out of it as well too. So but yeah, I'll show. Let's see, I think it was Stacy asked how we filter for these. So yeah, Stacy, I mean, it's pretty simple. Like I'm just looking for sale. I'm looking for active properties, and I want the loan to value to be 80% or higher. Okay, so that's my filter. And then you can just type in like, you can type in, let's see, Little Rock. Let's see if there's any in Little Rock, Arkansas. Look at that, 36 low equity properties in Little Rock, Arkansas. And you can obviously filter this down for like specific bed bath count, you know, lot size, whatever you want to filter. That's what PropStream is good for. So yeah, I mean, absolutely. He was not going to get that price. And even if he got his price too, I want to show you guys on maybe just my phone too. So if he's listed at 421, right? $421,000. If he got a full price offer from a conventional buyer, right? And they were getting, you know, they wanted to pay the listing agent 3%. Zillow says the average cost to sell your home is 9%. Now, because this guy was an agent, he might have been able to stick closer to 7 or 8%. So I'm going to multiply this by 0.935, let's say. So I'm taking off, what is that, 6.5%? My math good there? 6.5%. Yeah. So anyways, even 6.5% probably would have been more. 393, right? He owed more than that on his mortgage. So he would have had to cut a check, no doubt, to sell this home. So he ended up walking away with close to $30,000. I think, yeah, $30,000, including the down payment and the furniture. So he's stoked, right? I mean, he's pretty happy. All that good stuff. So Oh yeah, for sure. So that's a filter too. You can just filter for equity, but I think loan to value is a little bit better of a filter. Yeah, Caitlin. So that's the same thing. I do that for all of my offers. So this guy has, he's listed at 421,000. So one, huh?
What did she ask?
Caitlin asked, how did you come up with what you paid him? So I always stick to anywhere. It depends if there's an agent, right? So if there's no agent, I'm trying to stick to below 8% if there's no agent. If there's an agent, same thing. I'm trying to stick to 8%, but I always offer the agent 2%. So I'm trying to stick to 6% with my down payment to the seller. Because I know that at least leaves me room for a 2% assignment fee. So he wanted 421, right? So I think I offered him 5% for the down payment. I think I offered him 22.5. So maybe I offered him 5.5% as a down payment. And then I offered him basically market value for the furniture. I probably overpaid for the furniture, to be honest. That's why you saw in 10 minutes, he replied to that email, like those numbers, let's get this done, right? So that lets me know I probably did slightly overpay for that one, but still it worked out, right? So my numbers could have been, I maybe could have saved $5,000 in there. So, but either way, right, we got it done. Everybody is happy. So I got one duplex in Agent Broughton I'm trying to figure out now. Yeah, William, for sure, man. We offer help if you need help underwriting, sending offers, depositing earnest money, finding title companies, finding buyers. We offered a JV on deals with people who are newer to real estate or at least newer to creative finance. So if thanks, Stacy, I appreciate that. But yeah, if you guys want to JV with us, let me go and grab that form. Actually, let me share my screen too again. So if you guys want to joint venture on deals with us, we have our own Facebook group. It's called Herd of Profits. So it's a little bit more tight knit than, the creative finance group is. We have 611 members, which is pretty sweet if you ask me. But so it means there's not 100,000 people. So your post will actually get read. So let me share that in the chat. So if you guys, Rachel already got it. So if you guys want to join our Facebook group, me and Rachel both just posted the link. Sean says, what markets are you focusing in? Great question, Sean. Let me bring up a map actually, because we are going to start marketing in about a good 25 states, to be honest with you. So I'm going to zoom out here. So I'll go over the specific states we want to buy and keep in, and that is going to be our Sunbelt states here. So North, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Colorado, because that's where we live, and Arizona and Texas. So those are the few states where we want to personally keep and hold properties. But we are going to start marketing in California, Nevada, Idaho, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, I think Minnesota, maybe Wisconsin, maybe Illinois, Mississippi, Alabama. Obviously these 4 states, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, West Virginia, Virginia, like basically all of these states, and screw it, like Alaska and Hawaii too. We're going to start marketing in all of these states. Yeah, I would say, so Victor asks, is PropStream our main software for finding and analyzing properties? I mean, you can see, Victor, like I have Zillow up all day long, PropStream, I have Privy, I have a title company website, My First American, I have the MLS, I have Airbnb. Like I use so many different softwares and programs every day. Zillow is probably the most used, but outside of that, I would say PropStream is probably my favorite. It's not the ideal program for comping, properties, I would say Zillow or Privy are the best. But for getting lists, targeting specific sellers, specific areas, specific properties, it's definitely the best. That and batch leads is basically the same program. And then good. Okay, Rachel, I totally forgot about that too. So I'm gonna repost this as well, Rach. So everyone in here, if you guys are looking to JV, you're not quite sure what the next step is, we have a form where you guys can joint venture with us. So that form is in the Facebook group. If you guys come to the Facebook group, you can go to, it should be posted up here. So deal form link, you can find it by clicking there. And then it's also right here as well too. So it's in the featured tab. So we've switched to lead form. So this is the lead form if you guys want to upload any leads. Yeah, absolutely.
And while we're kind of going over some of this stuff, Dylan,
Yeah.
you don't mind, people are messaging me in the chat. So if you guys are in the process of joining our cold calling team, we will be emailing you next week. Thank you for being patient with us. With over 300 people, it's taking a bit. We were not anticipating that much. So still be patient with us. We have not fully 100% like decided or told anyone who made it and who didn't. So that will be next week.
Love it.
Thanks.
And Jasmine asks like the number one question: what are the typical splits for JVing? And that has been a conversation that our team has had 100,000 times, right? Like, it's so hard. Business is so fun. Everybody loves it until it comes down to who gets what, right? Then it's like, it gets awkward. People get in fights, right? So typical splits for JVing, there is not a typical split. We typically offer a flat fee, right? So let's say you're brand new, you just want to learn the ropes. If you just send us an address, right? Like, you just upload a lead and we then, negotiate it, send an offer, get it under contract, we deposit earnest money, we hire the transaction coordinator, we open escrow, we market it, we find the buyer, and we get it to the closing table, right? Then we are just going to pay you a flat fee for just sending us the address, but we will teach you the entire process along the way, steps A all the way to Z, how to get it to close. Now, let's say you have a property you got under contract yourself and you need help finding a buyer. That's a different, right? That might be a 70-30 split, a 50-50 split. Let's say you just need earnest money, right? Like, you just need a little bit of earnest money. That might just be a Gator lending transaction where we just get a flat fee from you, right? So it all depends. But I would say most people who want to JV, if you're very new and you're not sure how to even underwrite, or you're nervous to call a property, if you just send us an address and we get it closed, we'll just pay you a flat fee. So usually a finder's fee. And we follow Pace's model. This is exactly how Pace taught us to do it. So that's exactly how we do it. And we try to be equitable. We're not looking for, obviously we don't want to damage relationships, but obviously we have to be, we're have to be mindful of how to keep a business, up and running, right? So if we're 50-50ing everything, it's likely our business would not be profitable. So, love it. Amy's a Gator lender. So if you guys need some Gator lending, hit up Amy. Do you allow us to shadow you? I don't know what you mean by that, Teresa. I don't know how you would shadow me. Nedra says, I have a seller that is open to creative financing, but they need to find a home with creative financing themselves. They have bad credit, no money put down. They want to use their home to buy. And any suggestions? Yeah, Nedra, we've dealt with that so often, like where it's like a seller would sell us their home if we're able to find them a new home, right? And I would say those rarely work out because, one, your seller is probably going to be pretty picky. They're going to want, the picket fence with the red door in this specific area, right? So It's usually just takes more work and it's more headache than even getting the deal is worth. But you know, still could be something that could work, right? If they're not picky, they have money to put down, they can afford a monthly payment, a decent monthly payment, not $1,000 a month for a $500,000 home, then it is something that could work as long as they're realistic. REO properties. What are REO properties? Yeah, Mary asked if we provide the lead and you do the rest of the work, can we be on the calls with you so we can learn what you're doing? Absolutely, Mary. Anytime someone sends us a lead, I will typically call the person that sent it and say, hey, are you ready? Let's jump on a 3-way call. And most of the time people are pretty nervous, like, oh, you want to do that right now? Sure. So I do that all the time for people. Absolutely. Can you call a pre-foreclosure homeowner? And actually, let me stop share real quick too. Let's do more of a general Q&A, I guess, for the rest of the time. Can you call a pre-foreclosure homeowner, and at what is the point a foreclosure is lost after judgment or auction at a courthouse? Yeah, so let me go over like foreclosure with you guys too, because this was something that was mind-blowing when I learned how the whole process worked. Amy asked real quick, is there a replay of this? Sorry, couldn't be on time until now. Yeah, Amy, we will repost. All the replays get posted or live streamed to Angie's YouTube channel. So that's there. Rachel, if you want to grab the link to Angie's YouTube channel and post it, so you guys can go subscribe to her, and all of our Zooms, every past Zoom has been recorded on there. So, but yeah, the foreclosure process starts right. Like, okay, a seller misses a payment. Typically nothing happens, right? They might get just like an email saying, hey, we noticed a missed payment happened. Like, here's a late fee. Don't do it again, right? Then they miss another payment, right? The bank's probably same thing. They're going to say, hey, you need to catch this up, or we're going to send you a notice of default. By that third payment, maybe even the fourth payment, the bank's like, okay, this is reoccurring. They send them what's called a notice of default, basically letting them know, hey, you're in pre-foreclosure, you need to catch this up, or else we will assign a trustee and you'll get an auction date and your home will be sold. So then a few more months goes by, right? And if they still haven't caught it up, then that's what they do. They assign a trustee who is basically a real estate attorney to then handle that specific property. So the bank then steps away, the trustee manages the foreclosure from there. So the trustee will typically put a notice on the door or pay someone to do it. I'm not too sure. And then they will basically get them ready for an auction. So once you're in pre-foreclosure, the step to now you're in foreclosure is that auction date. So when an auction is assigned to your property, you are now officially in foreclosure. Real estate owned, bank owned. Oh, gotcha. Okay. No, we never deal with bank owned properties. But yeah, so then once that auction is assigned, that person can typically delay the foreclosure by doing a few things. They can apply for bankruptcy. They don't necessarily have to file or complete the process of bankruptcy if they solve it in the meantime, or they can sell the home, obviously, or we can submit an offer on the property and that delays the auction as well. If anyone wants to JV, squad up, split it, let's provide the leads, I'll negotiate, get it closed. Right on. Lou School, Too Cool for School. Lou is offering JV partners. Yeah, Teresa. So that same form, I'm gonna post it again. If you have a lead that you would like to JV on, I'm gonna post it again for you. It was, yeah, Teresa. Yeah. So check the chat. I just posted that lead form. If you guys have a lead and you want to JV with us, that's where you would submit that lead. It's right there. Um, Caitlin, do you ever pull pre-probate lists? Yeah. We haven't in a while, but we definitely need to. Angie is actually a probate and a foreclosure specialist. So she really understands them. Yes, yeah, Doug, exactly. So Doug says, so we need to get them before they have been assigned to an auction sale date. No, so sorry. You need to get them before their auction date. You can literally save or stop a foreclosure the day of the auction date. But once it's sold and that guy hits his hammer and says sold, it's going to be too late. Typically, I mean, those people can still, fight the court and try to get their home back, but once it's sold, it's pretty much too late. But you have up until the day of that auction. And if none of you guys have watched Pace's foreclosure process video, how he explains the timeline of foreclosure and how different types of people fit on that timeline, I would highly encourage you guys to go watch that. William asks if we do flips. No, William, not really. Angie and Dom have done a couple of flips, and it's just not a fun thing to do unless your background is construction and you like doing that. But I would say fix and flippers are generally more project managers rather than real estate investors. Obviously, they're still real estate investors, but that's a full-time job and you're not going to be able to ever retire from fix and flipping. We are in the game for buy and hold long-term rental properties, baby. That's what's going to pay us, residual passive income. So I can go skiing on the Poconos, you know what I'm saying? And golfing. Jasmine, I've only done 4 wholesale deals with Jasmine. That's pretty good. I mean, that's 4 times more than what most people have said, So currently working on our first flip, which was a foreclosure lead. We brought it current after he signed the deed to us and are rehabbing it now. I love that, Jasmine. Let's go. Yeah, I think fix and flips are a great strategy. It's just not what we like to do. Have you ever got lead with seller finance? Yeah, we've done a lot with, I would say sub 2 deals are probably 80% of our acquisitions. And then maybe 70%. And then seller finance is 20%. And then we have done maybe 10% cash deals. Mary says, I was taught how to comp on PropStream and just recently got Privy. Why do you like Privy better for comping? I think they have better data, Mary. I think their records and where they pull their data from is more recent. And it's a little bit more user friendly than PropStream. You can still comp on PropStream, but I prefer Zillow actually. Like I will comp everything on Zillow first, and then I will turn it over to Privy. And if I haven't gotten enough information where I feel confident about an ARV, I will then go to PropStream. But yeah, I think Privy and Zillow are actually the best for comping. I've done 3 of my own homes, but flips so good, cash infusion. Yeah, I mean, like I said, flips are great. Like one of my guys, I met him at Clever Summit. He's a sub 2 student. Tried his hand in wholesaling and sub 2 and all that, but it just wasn't his niche. So he's now flipping his first property. He posts about it on his story every day. So it looks like he's having fun doing it. Like, I'm sure it is fun too, bringing an ugly looking property to a beautiful looking home and then hopefully selling it and getting a big check at the end of the day too. So it definitely is fun. I think like HGTV and all these shows really promote flipping as like, this is fun and easy and you can make a ton of money, which is just not the case. You can definitely lose your shorts flipping a property if you don't know what you're doing. I've heard a ton of horror stories, especially here in Denver, when the market shifted. A ton of flippers are going bankrupt, lost their shorts. So you just got to really know what you're doing and do it quickly, I think, too, because the market can change super quick and you can really get screwed. So Doug says, I have a few leads, but have no contact with the owner, only numbers based on mortgage balance and Zillow estimates. Would this qualify? Yeah, Doug, I mean, if we prefer that you have at least contacted an agent or the seller. So if it's an on market property, right? We know that seller wants to sell. So it should be, you know, even if you're not confident with calling agents, just I would say just give it a shot. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Let them know, yeah, my investment company would like to send an offer. What's a good email? That's the very least you can do, right? So now, if you're direct to seller, right, we want to know that that person is at least motivated to sell. So when you fill out our lead form, it's going to ask you 4 questions. It's going to ask you what the 4 pillars are. So price, condition, motivation, and timeline. So I would say it's very hard for us to know what a good lead is if we don't at least have 3 of those 4 pillars. You need at least 3, right? If you only have 2, you're falling down. So always try to get in contact with the seller, figure out what their motivation, price, condition, or timeline is. Amy, that's huge. 6 figures. That's huge. HOA is foreclosing, not the mortgage holder. Interesting. I wonder how that works. I have never dealt with that. I don't know how that works. Graham, I mean, sometimes it's our own pocket. So like I have some money in self-directed 401ks and Roth IRAs, or private money lenders, right? Like fortunately through these Zooms, through Angie's popularity in sub 2 and just our ability to teach people and get our names out there, we've had some pretty good success with making relationships with private money lenders that trust that we know what we're doing and we're not going to fund a bad deal. So that's, I would say, generally where we get our entry fees from. Yeah, Stacy, novations are a great idea. They're pre-foreclosures. Okay. So yeah, you would have to skip trace the sellers then, Doug. Yeah, I mean, you can still fill out the lead form and then just put in like NA, or I don't know, for any of the required fields, and just say, I need the seller's name to be skip traced, something like that. We can do that for you, sure. I love it. You guys are active, man. That gets me excited. So Joey's on. Joey's sick. Everybody say sorry, Joey. He thinks I got him sick, but there's no way that happened. I think he's lying. I think he's at home playing Xbox right now. He definitely did. No way. Cool. Does anyone have any more questions? Anything like that? This is now the time. This is the time. If not, I'm just gonna do some promotion, I guess. So, oh, we got a question maybe. Let's talk door knocking, Kaylin. Oh, Mary Beach, actually, let me see. So she said, what are your thoughts on Airbnb and midterm rentals? Great question, Mary. I would say Airbnb, for me, when I think about it, I think it's so volatile that laws are constantly changing, and it's tough to really think that that's a solid exit strategy, right? I would say, like, unless a property has already been operated as an Airbnb, like that Oklahoma City one, then you can market it as that. But if you're only locking up properties because they only cash flows in an Airbnb, I would say it's not a solid exit strategy. It either has to make sense as a long-term rental, a midterm rental, or a wrap. I think midterm rentals are great as long as you're getting the right property. So that Oklahoma City one also makes a great midterm rental because there's same number of baths as there is beds. So it's a 3-bed, 3-bath. So that's great for midterm rentals. And it was a 5-minute drive from the medical center. So Midterm rentals, I think, are great. But Airbnb, I would say, is a little bit volatile. I wouldn't say an Airbnb lead can stand on its feet unless there's another exit strategy. Yeah, Caitlin, I've never door knocked before. I definitely would not feel afraid to. I just don't feel the need to. But if you're new to real estate and you're not confident about lead generation and all that stuff, door knocking or at least driving for dollars is a great way to get started. Yeah, I got you, Rach. Calling sellers. So, okay, last minute questions. Last minute questions. Let me see. Yeah, Teresa. I mean, that's what I do. That is what I do. I'd say like next Friday, I will probably call some sellers live. So that's the plan for next week, is to call some sellers or agents live. Doug, Doug, this is such a good question. I would say we got like another 5 minutes before I have another meeting to jump into. So let me try to answer this. Doug says, how would I Gatorland? I have no forms, and how do I interview the potential client? I was approached to Gatorland EMD. However, I do not know the person, but I was told to squat up in the side chats from someone contacted me from the side chat information. This is such a good question, Doug. So I'm going to stop the share here. So many people, I think, heard Pace's first, or one of his YouTube videos about Gator lending, and everybody and their mom wanted to be a Gator lender. If you had $1,000, you wanted to be a Gator lender, right? Like I did too. When I signed up, I was like, okay, I'm going to pay Prime Corporate Services, got my LLC, started the corporate credit program. I was like, I'm going to be a millionaire in no time, right? But unless you really know how to underwrite a property, comp it, that's the first leg right there. You need to know how to comp and underwrite, because if you don't, you're just trusting what a wholesaler is telling you is a good deal, right? So that's mistake number one. Never trust someone else's underwriting or comping. You always want to do your own, because I would never lend on a deal that I did not know for certain was a good deal. So that's rule number one. Rule number two is I would have a good transaction coordinator like Caleb Christopher, or just a good transaction coordinator that can do your paperwork correctly. That's rule number two. If you don't know how to do your paperwork correctly, you're going to lose money. I guarantee you. So those are the first two things. Those are the only two things I would say. As long as you know how to comp and underwrite, and you know how to find or do transaction coordination, then you can Gator lend. But if you don't know how to do those two things, then I would say you should not be a Gator lender. So hopefully that helps, Doug. If you don't know how to do the paperwork, learn how to do it, or hire someone that knows how to do it. And if you don't know how to comp and underwrite, learn how to do it. We've done so many Zooms on comping and underwriting, and I'm sure there's millions on YouTube too. So, okay. I think, how do we get a transaction coordinator? I would post in the Facebook groups. There's also probably some that can do that for you. Like, just if you Google transaction coordinators, as sub 2 students, we have kind of like a book of transaction coordinators we can use. But I would post in the creative Facebook group with Pace Morby, like, who are the transaction coordinators that know what they're doing. There's going to be some in there for sure. So yeah, transaction coordinators are like the silent heroes of real estate. They don't really get a lot of recognition, but they're amazing. Depends, Sessing. It really depends. Like, they might charge you a flat fee to write a contract. It depends on what you need, right? Like, if we have a transaction coordinator that's going to perform a whole closing for us, it might cost $3,000, $2,500. Just to write a contract might cost $300. So it all depends. How about the trustworthiness of the potential client? How do I know if this person is legit? Good question, Doug. again, make sure you got the first two things right. The first thing, the most important. Make sure it's a screaming deal. Second thing, how you trust them is I would ask to see contracts. I would say, okay, let me see the contracts that you have. So review those contracts and make sure they're legit. And then maybe ask that person if they have any HUD statements. So past deals or referrals as well. You can ask them, hey, do you have business partners or attorneys or transaction or title companies you've dealt with in the past that can say you're a good guy, you know what you're doing? Yeah, Pam for sure has it down. Ask other people, make sure they've done deals that perform, right? So make sure this isn't their first deal. They have no idea what they're doing. I would ask for HUD statements though. That's usually the best. Say, yeah, send me the contract and 2 or 3 recent HUD statements. Cool. All right, guys. Well, I am going to leave it there. We got another meeting we got to jump into. Quick announcements and quick shout outs. We do these Zooms every Tuesday and Friday every single week. Sometimes we might miss one because we have too much stuff going on, but Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, we do a Q&A, which was kind of like today, more of a Q&A. And then Fridays at noon Mountain Time, we basically stick to one topic and break that down. I think next Friday, I'm going to find a lead, call the agent, try to get them ready for an offer, underwrite and send them an offer and see if we can't get a contract in an hour and a half, maybe. So that's next week. Make sure you guys are a part of our Facebook group. You're subscribed to Angie on YouTube. If you guys ever need anything, Rachel Swartz is the person you would hit up and she can point you in the right direction. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for being active. If this is your first time in the Zoom, hopefully you learned a lot and we can be a good asset to your real estate investing career. If you're one of the people that constantly shows up, thank you so much. This is my dream job. I love doing this. So it's really cool to have people that love what I do as well. So thank you guys for showing up. We will see you Tuesday at 4 p.m. Mountain Time. Besides that, have a good weekend, be safe and crush it. See you guys. Peace.